Hello, this is Dickie Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida, sharing my books and publications with you. The subject matter is always astrology, the paranormal, the unique, different, and exotic. We have prayer blankets, we have ghost stories, a number of different types of astrology publications, and also the tarot and past life regression. Welcome to Florida's Star of the Sorceress School of Metaphysics. The book Kuhali and the Corn Goddess Chronicles explores practical instruction in astrology, the runes, aura reading, numerology, angel and fairy lore, ghost tracking, tea leaf fortunes, dream analysis, herbs, ritual magic, and much more in an allegorical story format. The heroine is astrologer and parapsychologist Kuhali, who purchases a mysterious century-old Native American carving, a nearly life-size corn goddess statue. The adventure begins. An ancient beach house on the Space Coast of Florida, to a cottage in Orlando on Lake Emerald, to the forgotten village of Aponlea near the Seminole Indian Reservation in the Everglades. Murder, government corruption, greed, and terror follow Ku in her efforts to save a neighborhood's endangered trees. There are little lessons in metaphysics and parapsychology along with the adventure story. The adventure continues in Kuhali and the Spirit of Prism Rosa. Welcome back to Florida's Star of the Sorceress School of Metaphysics with practical instruction in the metaphysical lores, including Native American customs, feng shui, vampire lore, and more of the psychic arts in the second allegorical novel. Prism Rosa was a beautiful and eccentric young woman who wandered the beaches and streets of St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, in the early 20th century. Her name was nicknamed by her habit of leaving colorful glass and crystal prisms in unexpected places with little explanation. Nearly 100 years after she disappeared, one of her notorious crystals is found left behind in a very haunted bed and breakfast. Across time and space, Prism Rosa influences the reopening of a case file of a crime long considered cold. Kuhali's adventures draw you into a mysterious beach house on Florida's barrier islands, back to the 16th century walled city of St. Augustine, and to an historic building in Orlando. The 8 Phases of the Blue Moon is the third novel in the series of Kuhali, Florida parapsychologist. This allegorical novel features exciting and entertaining adventures in a practical format that you can use to really develop your expertise in astrology and spiritual awareness. Learn about the stars, protective egg magic, lost continents, aromatherapy, crop circles, all while learning the 8 phases of the moon, from new to full, zodiac signs, meditation, and much more information. The Caribbean islands amid the ruins of ancient Atlantis, back to the Florida Everglades, to the remote mountains of the Basque region in Europe. The action unfolds beneath a powerful blood blue moon. Star Dates is a date book featuring a little bit of information about each birthday the year around. Celebrity ties to every birthday, qualities and traits are here. Star Dates was originally published following a television program that I had in the 1980s on Florida's PBS station, Channel 24. It aired weekly. The book also includes some definitions about astrology, the 7 days of the week, the astrological ties, rising signs, and much more. Star Studies highlights in using astrology describes how to actually erect a horoscope. Many people don't like to be completely dependent on the computerized charts, and there are some bugs in them. So this is a guideline to learn to construct a chart, and also some basic keywords for the different elements that compose a chart. The sun sign, that's the basic familiar sign that everybody knows. The moon, which explores emotions. Mercury, which explores the thought processes. Venus for love. Mars for energy. Jupiter for luck. Saturn for health and responsibility, Uranus for changes, Neptune for intuition, and Pluto, the dwarf planet, for transformation, are all explained and explored in kind of a bird's eye view format in this slim booklet. Star Journey is a spiritual study of the birth chart. Aside from the familiar meanings we might think of or search for in our lives about work, about relationships and health, the birth charts also have a spiritual format and composition. The horoscope is set up in a different way. The sun becomes the soul itself. The moon would be the emotional rememberings of the soul. The planet Mercury, the route to the universal mind. Venus, the triumph of unconditional love. And also there are celebrity horoscopes here, notorious figures in history, and the spiritual impact they've had on society throughout the ages. The Witch's Almanac is a publication that I have written for since about 1993. It began in the 1970s. It was inspired by the old Farmer's Almanac. The original editor, Elizabeth Pepper, devised it, and I became the astrologer and have been doing the forecasts for each of the birth signs and the moon calendar and different features. We have a celebrity horoscope each year. Celebrities such as Sybil Leek and even the Pope are explored in the Witch's Almanac. And there's also a fixed star feature every year to add a little bit of depth and interest and detail to the astrology forecasts and features. Mother Ullman's Birdseed Cookies is a chapbook. Chapbooks were developed hundreds of years ago. Usually they would contain just a single story, a few poems or drawings. Today they're used by poets in presenting their poems to groups. Mother Ullman's Birdseed Cookies is my answer to the chapbook. Featured is an actual recipe for baking cookies to feed the birds, and also some poems and pictures and stories in a slim format. Thank you so much for your interest, and I hope that you'll enjoy exploring some of my publications and services. The different metaphysical techniques that I offer as presentations and exploring books include astrology, the science of the stars, and how the cosmos around us affect us. Think about the full moon, the way it affects the tides, weather, and human behavior to get a feeling for how astrology works. Also the seasons of the year. The world has a very different energy field, say, in summertime around 4th of July than it might near the winter holidays. Crystals give us technological marvels such as cell phones, but for hundreds of years they've been used as talismans, and they have an electrical charge and energy field that we can use for healing, for confidence, for protection, and to attract success and a number of other energies. A dream uninterpreted is like a letter unread. Books all the way back, artwork glorifies the mysterious world of dreams. A dream gives us access to other dimensions, our inner selves. There are different categories of dreams, including literal ones that literally will tell us what's coming up and give an element of prophecy. Graphology, or handwriting analysis, explores how the handwriting reflects character and brain waves. Think about the way your handwriting is almost automatic at this stage. And emotional states, aptitudes, all can be revealed through the handwriting. Numerology is a study that explores how number patterns relate to the human life experience. It goes back to at least the time of Pythagoras, centuries before Christ. And numerology is perhaps more relevant in today's technical world than it even was in earlier times. Think of the way numbers guide us, affect us from birth into death and the afterlife. Palmistry, or chiromancy, named for Cairo, a metaphysician who took it from the level of, say, basic fortune-telling to a science about 100 years ago, is exploring the way the form and lines of the hand reflect our lives. No one's palm is like anyone else's, not just the fingerprints, but with all the billions of people out there, the palms, except for the eyes, might be the hardest part of the body to ever change. The palm will reflect lifespan, energy fields, reflect traits, personality traits, and aptitudes in a very, very personal way. The word rune comes from whisper in Old Norse, and the runes date to about the 9th century. They're an alphabet, supposedly, that came from Odin, the Nordic god of wisdom, and you can see runes in the ski sweaters that people still wear in the north, and runic blessings against frostbite and other problems. The runes have healing ability, and also, in addition to being kind of a good luck charm, will provide insight and wisdom. Of all the different metaphysical modalities, the tarot is the best one to start with. The word tarot might come from the Egyptian words ta and ro, meaning royal road, or rotas, a word that means wheel. The tarot cards are a whole textbook of the metaphysical spectrum. There's one belief that they're actually the ancient library which once stood in Alexandria, Egypt. We can trace them back to the 1400s or so in the present form, and they're the ancestors of the modern game deck. They're a whole grouping of information about astrology, about numerology, human nature, metaphysics. The tarot cards are just infinite in what they contain. Different metaphysical practice methods are available. Aromatherapy, which would be the fragrances. The fragrances don't have any bad side effects, and they can be very healing. A good one to begin with is lavender. Lavender will relieve depression, and it's also very healing as far as other distinct illnesses go. Aura portraits explore the energy patterns around us. If you think of the halos that pictures of angels and saints have, each of us have an energy force field. At the moment of death, there's a weight loss of 6 ounces or so, which I think is very gratifying to know, because it's physical proof that, thank goodness, there's a world beyond this one. I draw the colors that I feel and see in the aura in a portrait form, along with information with it. Chakra balancing is rooted in my yoga studies. It's balancing the energy centers in the body. I offer private classes and different convention programs. Feng Shui, the oriental art of how the objects around us create the world we live in. House parties and home blessings. House parties are mini readings for groups of friends. A house blessing is an actual blessing of the energies within the house. A new home to move into or blessing a renovated home can be done. Paranormal investigation is essentially ghost tracking. Many times there are unexplained activities or energies around a home or business or historic site, and this can be rooted in the exploration of ghosts. I have a haunted house checklist that I go through to determine whether and how a place is haunted. Past life readings are kind of twofold. I can do an individual past life study or guide you through a hypnosis session. I am a certified hypnotherapist through the Hypnotic Research Society of Florida. Personal individual readings using horoscopes and other modalities are also available by order. This is Reverend Dr. Dickie Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida. Please contact me through my email or website for further information.